Hi everyone. So a lot of my friends and family have been asking about the journey and how the flight was and everything. So I thought I would talk a little bit more about that process. So I flew from Calgary to Vancouver and then Vancouver to Hong Kong. So there's no direct flights from Calgary to Hong Kong. And so one of the main criteria of entering into Hong Kong is that you can't be a foreigner. And so because I have the Hong Kong identification permanent resident thing, I think residency card, I can enter into Hong Kong, which is nice. But also before boarding even your first flight, so from Calgary, I had to show that I had a negative COVID test within the 72 hours of before my flight from Vancouver. Yeah, so even though my first flight was in Calgary, they wanted to make sure that the 72 hours was counted from my flight from Vancouver actually. So I did that a couple days before flying, and then you also have to show a hotel booking to show that you're ready for your 21-day quarantine stay. But yeah, the flight was actually more packed than I expected, so I did get my own row, which was really, really nice. So a couple days before my flight, I was like checking the seating chart, the seating plan, like a couple times a day just to see if I can get a spot where I'd be able to sit by myself, and I was able to. There were a couple rows where so I wasn't the only person who had their own row, but most people had at least two people on the one row, so with 3 seats and then a vacant spot in between. But I was lucky that I got my own row, and I just basically slept through the entire thing. I don't even remember takeoff or landing. I don't remember it. I think I just slept. I didn't sleep the night before, so I was pretty tired when I got onto the flight. So I just slept through the entire thing, and it was great. Of course, they can't serve you any food or drink like they normally do. So for this short flight at least, they actually gave you just a little care package. So it looks something like this from Air Canada. I imagine it'd be similar for different flights, but they give you a water bottle, hand sanitizer, and some snacks, so biscuit and pretzels, and then some wipes. Oh, there's earbuds as well. And then yeah, I actually didn't use it because I just was sleeping, but it's nice that they had that. And yeah, all of the flight attendants of course were wearing masks, and sometimes some of them were wearing the full sanitary suits as well, which was hazmat suits. Yeah, so that was nice as well. I felt very safe during the entire flight. So when I got to Vancouver, I had a really, really long layover. It was 4 hours, which is okay. I got a lot of work done, which is good. But I actually got to my gate really early, and I kind of regret it because once I passed through a certain checkpoint, I was unable to leave. And unfortunately, the part that I was staying in, there weren't any open eateries. I thought they were going to be open, but they weren't. But it was okay. I brought so much of my own food. But either get your food earlier on once you leave the domestic flights area, either get your food there or drinks, or just bring your own food. And yeah, I guess fast forward to check-in. So everyone, same thing, you have to go through the entire procedure again in terms of showing your documentation. So I had to show my citizenship card, my flights, my hotel booking, and also my COVID test. But for COVID test, they also want to see the accreditation of where you got it. So it was kind of weird because it was fine in Vancouver, but when I actually got to Hong Kong, they didn't give me any trouble, but they were like, oh, like, I'm not really sure like what this accreditation is, because they see a lot of test records from the US, I guess, but they're not really as familiar with the as the one that I had, which is at least from Alberta, I think, Dynalife. But yeah, they just weren't as familiar with it, so they had to look at it for a couple extra minutes, but they were fine. They didn't give me any trouble. I was still able to go through. They just wanted to see a certificate showing that the place where I got my testing done was actually accredited, and then of course a negative result as well. And so same thing with this short distance flight. I was checking the seating charts all the time to see if I can get my own row, and I did, and it was actually pretty crazy. I would say like the ratio of cabin crew to passengers was probably like 1 to 1.5, or like 1 to 2. Like there were probably like less than 25, maybe even less than 20 passengers on the flight. And I mean, like, so many people had their own rows. It was awesome. I was actually seated, I think like there's like business first class, and then there's like the premium economy, and then there's that row that's a little bit more expensive for like, I think usually people with like kids or like babies, so they have that extra space and extra leg space. I was just one row behind that actually, and I had the row to myself, and I was able to lie down and sleep, and it was super comfortable. I loved it. All of the cabin crew was so nice, so friendly. So of course they don't get to ask you the different types of food that you want. So they actually had pre-packaged meals, and most of them had some meat, but I was able to pick it out, so that was okay. Yeah, and everyone was nice. The food was good, and they gave I think they gave another one of these packages again. And instead of coming down the aisle with cups of water, they would just offer you bottles of water, which was nice. I think that's the main thing. Like, the flight went by super quickly. I slept a little bit, watched a bit of Schitt's Creek, watched a bit of Nora Aquafina show, did a bit of work, did some practicing, and that was it. It actually felt really, really quick, and it was just super comfortable. It was awesome. I felt really safe, like super safe. I felt more safe on that flight than like shopping in a mall, because, you know, everyone was taking the right precautions, and everyone at that point had been tested. So of course, I guess during those 72 hours between your test and your flight, it is possible that you contract it, but I would say most people are pretty careful about it, so that was really nice. Okay, so now this is the big thing. A lot of people are asking about like what it's actually like once you get to the airport. So Hong Kong is like super efficient, like very, very efficient. They know how to get things done and how to get things done quickly, and I definitely felt that like the moment I arrived. But now, because of COVID, the first thing you do, or actually sorry, there's also a train you have to take, like a bullet train inside the airport. But now what you do is the first thing you do is take that train, and it brings you to another part of the airport. And so it's weird, because normally Hong Kong airports, it's an international airport, it's like super busy, like always bustling, but it was like super quiet. Everything was shut down. I don't think I saw any stores open. Everything is just shut down, you know, in order to maintain procedures and give space for all of these, you know, testing procedures. So that was pretty crazy to see. And so after that, after, you know, we got on the train and everything, I was given this tag, this wristlet. There's a QR code on it, and it's basically the government's way of tracking where I am. So this is linked to an app that I have on my on my phone. It's called the Stay Home Safe app, and it just ensures that I'm not leaving my hotel room. Next was the COVID test. So I was pretty nervous because the nose test in Alberta sucked. I got it, and I was like crying after, and like I was like in shock, and I had to hold my brother's hand during it. Like, it was really, really painful and like uncomfortable. I didn't get a nosebleed, but it was just really uncomfortable. Whereas my 72-hour flight, my 72-hour like prior to flying that COVID test, actually they did a throat swab, and that one wasn't uncomfortable. It almost felt like they were just scraping the roof of my mouth. Like, that one wasn't bad at all. But it was actually the opposite for the test in Hong Kong. So when I got to that little testing station, there was you know, someone there to take it for me, and they said, okay, like, you know, get ready, blah, 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 blah. And I was telling them, I was like, okay, like, I'm kind of scared, because in like Calgary, when I got the nasal swab, I was like crying, and he's like, oh, don't worry, it's not going to be bad. So in the airport, they actually do both. And so when he was doing the nose one, it felt like he was just picking my nose with this little like Q-tip. Like, it didn't hurt at all. Like, even picking your nose it felt like picking your nose would be even more intrusive. Like, it was totally fine. It was actually the throat one that was a little bit uncomfortable. It didn't hurt, and I definitely wasn't about to like tear up or anything. It was a little bit, you know, deeper than the when I got in Calgary, but it wasn't bad at all. And the testing guy was so funny. After he was done, he was like, oh, you know, like, your nose didn't bleed. I can do it again if you want, though. Like, I can do it so that, you know, you get a nosebleed. And I was like, no, it's okay. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave now. But like, he was really friendly, and it was done. So the process of when I like got off the plane and the train and getting the wristlet up until doing the COVID test took about an hour. So it wasn't too bad. There wasn't too much waiting time. Yeah, it just felt like everything was go, 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 go. At that point, I think maybe the max I had to wait for anything, even including the train, was maybe like 5 minutes. So it wasn't bad at all. And then the next part was a little bit longer. So after your COVID test, I think they just like bring the sample to wherever to get it tested. And then I have to sit in the airport until a negative result of that test comes back. And then I can leave the airport to go to the hotel for the quarantine. And so so once I got the sample done, I was given a spot, and it almost felt like taking exams in high school or at university, where you're given a spot like A4 and then go sit there. And so I was given a spot, and so I went there. I did some work and whatnot, and so that waiting took 3.5 hours. But it really didn't feel that bad. It was a little bit chilly, but they did have snacks and sandwiches and water, which was really nice. And there's Wi-Fi. I mean, so if you watch a movie or two, watch a show, get some work done, like the time actually went by pretty quickly. I saw online that I think maybe earlier in the process, maybe like not right now in 2021, but maybe earlier, they say the wait can be up to 12 hours for some people, but thankfully for me it was only 3.5, which honestly didn't feel too bad at all. And then once the negative result comes back, then they will bring you to immigration. So you get to do immigration, grab your luggage, and then they're going to ask you which hotel you live at. So based on which hotel you'll be staying at, they'll actually tell you to go to different like lines so that they can put you on a certain bus. And so I think the bus is government sponsored because I didn't have to pay for it. I mean, of course I had to pay for the hotel, but I was put onto a bus, like a little kind of a mini shuttle bus, and they brought me to the hotel. And everyone at the hotel is super kind, super friendly, answered all my questions I had, and the guy even helped me with my luggage, which was really nice. I had a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was as I was getting off the elevator, I had like my backpack on, I had like my tote bag and my carry-on on one hand on one side, and then I had another suitcase, like a big one, 50-pound one, on my other hand, and I was using my feet to kick my second luggage forward because I'm at the end of the hallway, which is actually really nice. I think that's how they were able to, I think like that's how the building works, like rooms that are further in are a little bit bigger, which is nice. I love my room. I've heard some horror stories from my friends, and you know, saying that the rooms aren't big enough, or like the food is bad or everything, but it's been great so far. So hopefully that covers most of the stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and I can get to them. If you have any questions about the process or anything at all. I'm staying at the Dorset Chunwan. This is only day 1. I still have 20 more days to go. But I mean, first day it's been pretty good, and the flight and everything was good. So I'm just super happy, super blessed, super thankful. And yeah, any questions, let me know and I will hopefully get to them. Bye, take care.